Hello everyone and welcome to Our Ventura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. On our show today we'd like to welcome Gustavo Sampaio. He is a film director, producer, and editor, and he also heads up the North Hollywood Cinefest Film Festival. Welcome to our show, Gustavo. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's
Great.
a pleasure.
We want to hear so much more about the North Hollywood Cinefest and also all the advice and information you're going to give to young aspiring filmmakers out there. I think that's really important. So let's start with you telling us more about your work as a filmmaker and the film festival and how it got started.
Okay, well, I've always wanted to be in film production ever
Okay.
since I was a teenager. So I studied film at Penn State University. It was kind of a new program. So I was a little bit, trying to figure out where to go from that after school. And I started in television, like a lot of people do.
Okay.
Which, after a long road in television, led me to Los Angeles, which is the place where I really started getting into film. I had done a few little things beforehand, but then I started jumping into doing short films. I've been an editor for a long time, so I would edit feature films on the side with people I knew, and then I started to hit the festival circuit in LA, getting to know a little bit about it. And eventually I decided to start my own, mainly because of one, I was in an area where there wasn't a film festival yet, and there was a brand new theater, so that made me interested. And the other is because some of the experiences that I had in certain festivals made me feel like there should be more done for filmmakers. And that's really the goal that I always had, is to create something where filmmakers could feel not only comfortable, but really enjoy it, really feel happy about having been a part of it, because the whole experience in general is really what festivals should be about. It's not just about playing your film and walking away and then calling it a day, and taking one photo and say you were at a festival. I mean, it's not really productive. It doesn't really help anybody. So that's always been my goal, with a festival, is to do that. And it's helped me as a filmmaker because it's opened up a lot of doors. I've met some tremendously talented people that are working in all kinds of levels in Hollywood, from studio, visual effects artists, to actors that are constantly working with the top, people in the industry. So it's been really great experience.
I think it's really important to reach out to young aspiring filmmakers out there who may be listening to this and saying, how do I get my short film made, my student film made? And if they do, will it go anywhere? Will it lead to anything down the road? Right.
Well, first of all, the most common thing that I hear is like, oh, we don't have any money, or this and that. And, honestly, even with films that are being done for $20, $30, $40 million, there's a producer complaining they don't have enough money, and so it really is about finding your resources. It's amazing what you can do just by showing how much passion you have for something, and people will respond to that. I've learned that. I think that's where you're really going to find the gold in the whole thing. It's just that people, when they see that you're serious about it, that you're committed to it, and that you have something that's interesting and exciting to them, they'll want to be a part of it. And that is really as good as money. And so you have to get it made.
You have to have that passion.
You really do. Yeah. And honestly, put everything you have into the story. It's, to me, films, short films especially, really shine when they have a great story and great performance. It's extremely important that you take very good care in selecting your actors, even if they're not going to be, famous or well-known or working in the top places in the industry. You will find this is LA, this is Southern California. You will find
the best of the best is here.
You really will. You'll find some really great people. And once you have that, even if you don't have the most incredible resources for production, you'll create something that'll be interesting, and that will help you because people will recognize that quality.
Now, as a filmmaker, and I know you've had several films that you have directed, produced, written, edited. Of course, you've had the complete circle of experience. What do you find to be the best thing about filmmaking?
I mean, I just love working with people in general
Okay.
and the collaboration because even though I may have a particular vision as a director,
Right.
or I may have had a particular storyline that I was going for as a writer, once you really get into it, if
Right.
you're smart and open-minded, you'll see how much you can learn and how sometimes it'll shift slightly in a way that'll make the film better.
Well,
that's
I think it's important to address young filmmakers and saying, here's my advice.
Right.
Here's some tips for you.
Yeah.
I think many young filmmakers tend to think, oh, I'm going to get my film out there and I'm going to make money. Sometimes you don't.
With short films, it's very difficult
Right.
to actually make
Right.
money. What I always tell people are mainly two things.
Yes.
Is never forget that there is a business behind filmmaking. And
Yes.
so it's really important that as a young filmmaker especially, you learn a little bit about that. You know, there are not only panels and seminars around Southern California that'll have people speaking about it, but there's also resources like the American Film Market in November, where it's very business oriented, but just having conversations with a handful of people in the lobby area of those hotels will teach you a lot about what people are thinking, how they are thinking about selling films and things of that sort, because then you will understand how to move along in a different way
In the process of
Right.
of filmmaking.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really great value to learning the business side. The American Film Market is definitely a great resource, but there's plenty of other ones. I mean, even YouTube videos of where people will talk about their experiences like that. It's
Right.
really important to seek those that information out.
In the North Hollywood Cinefest that you put together, and you're now in your 6th year,
Yeah.
so you have some information and experience behind you.
Yeah.
Do you take on new films that are just from young aspiring filmmakers,
Yeah.
or student films, or short kind of films that will kind of inch their way into the marketplace?
For sure. I mean, we have films from all over the world, but yes, we have a section of student films that we award even to.
How nice. Okay.
And we actually recently started working with the city of Los Angeles even to do a high school level film
Okay.
program. It's still a growing thing, but for sure, we've had student films that were better, by far, than compared to some of the others from professionals.
Right.
And it's depending on it really comes from the filmmakers themselves. I mean, their vision and their resources that they make the best out of sometimes create some really amazing work.
Okay.
And and the good thing with short films too
Yeah.
is you can experiment. You don't have to stick with a particular kind of format and style, and sometimes you find some really great gems out there.
Sure.
So.
Now, I understand you do have the North Hollywood Cinefest. You may be coming this way towards Ventura.
Yeah.
So we'd like to hear some of those plans as well.
Yeah, I think as a festival, we want to be able to expand and
Sure.
grow to as far as we can in Southern
Okay.
California. So some of the things we're doing is we're beginning to create a networking series where we'll go all over Southern California, hosting in a particular location, and invite filmmakers of past, present, and future, and in the film communities of the area. And we hope to eventually also make these little networking groups grow into also some more formal events. It's a very early stage for us now, so we're kind of taking it slow. But one of the big things that we're planning now, aside from our yearly festival, is a panel event with a pitch fest.
Okay.
And that is something that we definitely will, and it's part of the reason why we're doing these networking tours, if you want to
Okay,
call it,
yeah.
is also to promote that, to let people know that this is coming. And that's really big for a festival to do, because it really brings in the business side of things. It brings in money, investors, and producers, and who are
Right.
regularly working on big
So how does a
projects.
pitch fest work, and how does a panel discussion work? What is
Right.
going to go into that?
So the panels are, basically we invite some of the top industry people, producers, directors, writers, executive producers, even actors.
these are all
or
professional
agents.
people?
These are all at the top level. We
Okay.
always seek out the best that we could possibly find.
Good.
We've had some people that have worked on Marvel and superhero films.
Sure.
I mean, it's
Okay.
we really go as big as we can. And it's basically usually 3 to 4 people on stage. They're talking about their experiences. There's a Q&A thing going on with the audience. Sometimes they'll even chat a little bit with the people that are there. It's a really, really enjoyable time. But the Pitch Fest is basically for a little bit more like a little more seasoned writers and directors who have a script, and we're also requiring what's called a coverage. Some people may already know, but it's basically getting an independent party to review your script and write an opinion 2-page write-up of what it's about and why it should be
So
made.
at a Pitch Fest, do you have an opportunity to actually sell your script or
Yes.
your production?
Yeah,
Is there an opportunity for that?
There's an opportunity to meet with people who constantly are funding and producing films between 1 and 5 million. That's really kind of our target.
Okay.
So that's for a lot of independent filmmakers. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a decent budget. So these are people who really know their stuff, and they usually are good at identifying right away if there's something interesting that they want to look further. It's unlikely someone will walk away from any pitch fest in the world with a contract deal signed.
Right,
it's
right.
more about getting that second meeting, more about getting
Right.
that relationship developed. It's these kind of things a lot of
Again,
times
we
take
go back
time.
to the context. Now,
Yes.
the contexts really make a big difference because, as you well know, it's really tough to sell a small film, a student film, any of that across the board to any studio. They're going to look at cost, profit, everything involved.
Yeah.
Selling that is really tough, and contexts make it even better if you have somebody in your corner pitching
Right.
for you. So I will say that does make a difference. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, somebody once said that it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yes.
And it's very true. It's
Sure.
you need to build a little bit of confidence and trust in people. And I think that the more you're out there, the more you go to panels, the more you speak to people and network and show your stuff. I mean, there's one thing that's also really important. A lot of times I'll see filmmakers like, "Oh, I have this short. You got to see that." Great,
okay.
that's great. So now I've seen it. I like it. Now what?
Right.
What's your next thing? You have to have an answer for that every single time. And if you don't, then you've missed an opportunity because people are going to be like, "Oh, that's nice," and then you have nothing else to offer. So always have at least, I would say, a good 3 things that you could be doing, even if it's still in a development phase, and that's fine. But everybody always wants to know, what are you doing next, especially with short films. So it's a key thing.
Who screens the films at Cinefest? I mean, again, do you have a lot of professionals that come in to be a part of this, or tell us a little bit about that?
So we have a pretty long submission period. Some festivals, some of the bigger festivals, like the Sundances and all, they'll only do a 3-month submission period.
Okay.
We do a good 9 to 10 month, depending on when we start, but mainly so that we can just year-round receive things and start reviewing them. And we have a team of I'd say a solid 10 people that are always with us, and then we always bring in a few extras every year, volunteers, but they're all professionals. They're all producers, writers, directors, editors, sometimes even talent, I mean, all different kinds of people from the industry that will help us review. They'll give us their scoring and their opinion, and ultimately in the end, for the programming, I am the one programming. And so when it comes down to it, but we have 9 days of festivals, so we have a lot of time for a lot of programming, and so it's one of the main things I want to do is make sure I had a lot of time available because there's so much good work coming in.
Absolutely, there is.
It
And
really
so
is.
for all that good work to come in, we want to address the filmmakers out there who are interested.
Yep.
What is the website that we can go to for more information?
Yes, so it's NoHoCinefest.com.
Okay.
So it's from North Hollywood Cinefest, NoHoCinefest.com. And yes, we have information there for submissions. As the festival gets closer, we'll have a lot more information regarding, each film session and the tickets and all our events for panels and awards and all these other things that we do. And
Great.
every year we try to go a little bigger, add a little more, so we're not, going with a standard formula. So that's why we wait to get a little closer to announce all these other things.
Very good. Well, thank you so very much for your time, Gustavo Sampaio, film director, and certainly good luck with the North Hollywood Cinefest. We wish you all the best with it. I'm sure it's going to do extremely well this year.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank all of you for joining us today on Our Ventura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everyone.